Hey, what is going on, man? Coach Tyler here with Black Diamond Softball and Fitness. Got a brand new episode of the Foul Pole to Foul Pole Daily Show. And of course, Foul Pole to Foul Pole is powered by the Carolina Patriot Collegiate League. It is a softball summer league coming to the Carolinas up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where we're going to have incoming freshmen. We're going to have girls in the transfer portal. We're going to have girls that are just looking to stay sharp throughout the summer. A lot of action, a lot of fun, and there's a lot of stuff for you fans to be doing as well. So if you're an athlete and you want to register for it, or if you're a fan, you want to check it out and get some tickets, go ahead and check out cpatriotcl.com and you will not be sorry. Today's episode is brought to you by Nexus Mount. Attention gamers and streamers, say hello to the ultimate solution for capturing game footage. It's the Nexus Mount. Our turnkey kits provide a secure and hassle-free way to attach multiple devices to any fence, net, or tripod. Crafted from lightweight aluminum with a powder-coated finish, our mounts are built to last. But that's not all. Our innovative design features a removable shade cover to protect your devices from direct sunlight during outdoor streaming events, minimizing the risk of overheating. Don't settle for anything less than perfection. Unleash the full potential of your streaming experience with Nexus Mount. Visit us today at thenexusmount.com and elevate your game. All right, as we get into today's episode, I've been asked a little bit from my players, from other players that hit with me, and just girls from around the area about what they should be doing during their school ball season as far as recruiting goes. And it's a big topic. I know this time of year, recruiting sort of takes a back seat, or at least it's not on the forefront of what we're trying to do. But, I'm here to tell you that you can continue to push the envelope, continue to do whatever you think is right for your recruiting needs. So whether that's sending out an email, going to college campuses, looking at your summer schedule with your travel ball team, there's always something that you can be doing. So I've got 3 things that if you're not paying attention to can sort of set you back a little bit when the time comes to where you're pushing that summer schedule and you're playing your travel ball and you're trying to make sure you're going to the right camps. So number 1, make sure you're continuing to communicate with those potential colleges that you're interested in. Now, you may not get a whole lot of response back because, hey, let's face it, the coaches are in mid-season form now. They are trying to coach their 20 or 21, 22 players that they have on their roster. They're not really paying too much attention to players that could potentially be there. So for now, you're not going to get too much feedback, but you continue to put your clips together. You continue to send your emails. Let them know that you're paying attention to what they're doing. Let them know that you see, how good they're playing or how good they just played or a matchup that they have on the horizon. That gives you a chance to send them a clip or two in that email. And then also let them know that you're, interested in coming in and watching a game or visiting the campus or looking forward to coming to a camp maybe later on this year, something like that. And if you do happen to get your summer schedule and it's ironed out or whatever, and your coach has sent it out to you, that's a way that you can kind of send it to them and let them know that, hey, this is where I'm going to be. And maybe they'll make an effort to get there, or at least they already have that. And if it adjusts or whatever and say, hey, I know I've sent you my schedule in the past. We've made a little bit of an adjustment. Instead of going here during this week, we're actually going to this other location. So it gives you something to sort of talk about. Also, number 2, make sure you're paying attention to your injuries and the things that hurt and that kind of stuff. You don't want to sort of crawl to the finish line of your high school season and then start out your summer ball season with an injury that kind of slows you down a little bit. As you're playing, you're going to be sometimes 70%, 80%, something like that. You might have a little nagging injury. You may tweak the back or maybe got hit with a pitch on the elbow or something like that. But pay attention to those things. I mean, if you miss a game or if you miss a few reps during the week, but it helps out your longevity through your summer season or your spring season, whichever one, that's going to pay dividends in the end. At some point, you're going to have to take a little bit of a break. There's no athlete that can just go straight through their whole career without dealing with an injury. I've never met one. So you don't want to take something that hurts and have it turn into an injury. Now, there's a big difference between something that, hey, it's a little bit sore today versus an injury. But if it's something that's nagging and been going on, talk to your trainer, talk to your coach, and just let them know what's up. Have that open dialogue with your coach and let them know, hey, I got a little bit of a hamstring today, or I've got a little bit of a, a hitch in my giddy up, if you will. Another thing that, the number 3, really another thing that you need to pay attention to is your nutrition and your fitness level. During this time of year, when you're in mid-season form with playing your high school, whatever sport you're in, you also need to take time for yourself. Make sure you're getting those good stretches in. Don't necessarily completely stop your weight training, because weight training is sort of something that hits different muscle groups at different times. So there's, if you're a volleyball player or softball player, there's certain muscles that you use constantly and they stay in shape. But then there's other muscles that don't really get used all that often, but we can't forget about those muscles, because that's where injuries occur when you do something, out of the norm. So, with sprinters, they don't just work their quads, they have to work their hamstrings, because at some point you might pull a hamstring because your quad muscle is so strong, and vice versa. Stretching is number 1 before a workout, after a workout. We talk a lot about sort of that post movement sort of cool down. And a lot of girls, I know, man, you'll get done with practice and you're beat and you're tired and you don't want to do like a cool down, but it helps a lot. Getting those calves stretched back out, getting your back stretched back out, because when you're active and you're doing your thing, those muscles tighten up and tense up and they get shorter. Well, you need to stretch those muscles back out and allow those muscles to stay longer, because a longer muscle heals way faster than a short, compressed muscle does. So, ice and heat might be your method. I'm not a big fan of ice unless it's an acute injury. Like if you get hit and you want to reduce that swelling or try to keep that swelling down as much as you can. But over the long term, that ice heat sort of back and forth doesn't really do too well, because the fact of the matter is, if there is an injury, you want to get that bad stuff out so we can replenish that with the good cells that's in your body. I've talked to Tim Damaris from Mark Pro about recovery and that kind of stuff. So if you haven't thought about sort of muscle stimulation or doing some stim, check that out. I'll leave a link for you down below for Mark Pro, so you can at least check that out. It's not necessarily for everybody, but it's something that you can kind of look into. I'm a big fan of stretching and heat, sort of trying to get that muscle or whatever your injury is loosened back up a little bit. But, as always, make sure you're talking to your trainers and talking to your doctors. When it comes to recruiting, your best ability is your availability. You've got to be out there. You've got to be performing. You've got to be doing the best that you can. And if you can't make it onto the field because you've got some, nagging injury that has finally caught up to you, it's not a good thing. So, focus right now on this season that you're in, your spring, your school ball season. That summer season will be here before you know it. So you want to get the most out of this season. And, there's a lot of people that talk about you don't really get recruited from high school and this and that. There are pockets in the country that kids do get recruited straight out of high school. And that's awesome. But for the majority, there's not too many coaches that come to your games during the high school season. There could be, but for the most part, these college coaches are trying to get more bang for their buck, trying to see more athletes at one time versus just seeing coming and watching you and that kind of stuff. Because, like I said, they're in their season as well. So it's easier for them to get out during the summer. So you got to be ready for that. But take full advantage of all the reps you can get right now. Take full advantage of being that leader. And it changes. The dynamic is different between the two teams. So you'll have some players on your high school team that only play a couple of months out of the year, and they're learning from you. They're picking up little things. You're showing them different things that you've learned because you've had more experience, and that's it. And you could be a freshman playing with juniors and seniors that don't have the experience that you do because they don't play at the level that you play at with your travel team or going to some of these places and had these experiences. So don't come off as like a know-it-all, but just allow your play to sort of speak for itself. And eventually you'll gain their respect and this and that. And sometimes you just won't. They don't want to listen to you because you're a freshman and you don't know. And that's just how it is. But really continue to do what you're doing right now and then try to do a little bit more. You've sort of set your plateau. You've set, how you are. A lot of you guys are sort of, about your midway point, if you will. And some of you guys are just getting going depending on the weather and stuff. So wherever you're at right now, sort of take an assessment of that and go, okay, hey, we've got the season rolling. This is what I've got going on. This is what I like about it. This is what I don't like about it. And these are the changes that I want to make. And these are some of the things that I want to build upon. So we're always trying to gain that experience, and we're always trying to learn, and we're always trying to be better, take our game to the next level. So make sure we're staying up with our nutrition, make sure we're staying up with our body, paying attention to that, and make sure we're still communicating. If you have a weekend where you can get away and maybe go to a college game, it may not even be a college that you're interested in going to, but you're going there taking that experience, and you're kind of looking around, say, hey, can I compete against these girls, or can I compete with these girls? Take some time away from the game as well, where you're not playing at all. You're just a spectator. You're just a fan, because at some point as a ball player, you fell in love with the game. So get back to that, take in that experience, maybe watch a game on TV. ESPN Plus does a great job with putting games and stuff on. If you want to go check out my YouTube channel, I put game highlights on there all the time. It's Foul Pole to Foul Pole over on YouTube. Check that out. So there's just a lot of stuff that you can be doing that you're not paying attention to because you don't think it's important, but there's something you can continue to grind and make it happen for you. And again, your experience, your journey, your path that you're taking is going to be completely different from maybe even your best friend or your twin sister. Okay. So whatever you're doing, whatever you're going through, that's your journey, and that's what you're doing. So there's not some clear cut plan that says, hey, you've got to hit, you got to do this, you got to hit this mile marker or whatever. Or if you don't, you're not going to get recruited. That's just not the case. So start down there, something local, maybe a JUCO, maybe a community college, maybe, something like that, maybe a D3 school that's local, and then you sort of learn this whole recruiting process and what's working for you, because what works for somebody may not work for you. But there's sort of a formula, if you will, that'll at least get you some traction and kind of help guide your journey. So anyway, I'm going to jump out of here. Appreciate you guys checking today's episode out. I'm going to leave a link down below for the Carolina Patriot Collegiate League, also the Nexus Mount, and I'll leave you one down there for Mark Pro if you want to check that out. If you guys are getting into STEM and stuff like that, at a minimum, it kind of it gives you a little bit more knowledge on what sort of injury recovery, muscle recovery, that kind of stuff is. So if you know someone that likes podcasts and they haven't checked out this softball podcast yet, make sure you share it with them. And as always, man, if you share it with a friend, be sure you tell them you love them.